So right now on the bike, I have the KO F-Spec combo, alright? The KO Factory Spec controller and motor, alright? We'll be keeping the motor on there because I don't have a good Sauron motor, alright? And then we've got the KO F-Spec controller that will be vacating the bike, okay? So I'm going to do a quick review on the KO F-Spec before I take it off the bike, right? But just in a nutshell, I think the KO F-Spec controller is great, alright? It can handle a lot of power, a lot of power, more power than my battery can more power than my battery can dish out, alright? If you can make a badass battery for a Sauron that can take advantage of how much discharge this thing can do, then it's great, okay? So EBMX came from a BAC 2000 to a BAC 4000, alright? And then I had a Votal controller. I don't even want to talk about that garbage, alright? That Electro & Co garbage. Not going to talk about it because I had it for one race and I broke it already, okay guys? And then now I got the X9, and then now we got the KO on there right now, and then we're gonna install the X-9000, right? The EBMX X-9000. Couldn't they find a cooler name for it, man? So to say, all right, I don't know. Like, well, the KO, you would just call it a KO controller. Well, but EBMX sells BAC controllers also. Okay, so before they had this, they had the BAC controllers, right? And EBMX had those, all right, and I'll tell you, coming from a BAC, I went from BAC 2000 to 4000, and then I went to the KO F-Spec after that garbage controller, okay? And this doesn't overheat, guys. I can't get this thing to overheat at the power levels I'm running it at, all right? 15 kilowatts. All right, however, I'm getting the battery to overheat, guys. Yeah, man, the battery is the biggest bottleneck on the bike right now, all right? Definitely the controller isn't. Before, when I had the BAC 4000, that thing would overheat all the time, alright? Well, I had the 2000, that would overheat all the time. The 4000, not as much, but like, yeah, you'd be pushing it really hard and it would get really hot, guys. And then you would start pulling power back and stuff. Yeah, this doesn't do it. The controller and motor combo are excellent, man. It can handle a lot of punishment, a lot. It's never let me down in a race in respect to heat and all that stuff, okay? So I do like it. I like it because it can dish out a lot of power, all right? And it can handle a lot of power, and it could, without getting too hot, all right? I have overheated the motor before, all right? Just barely, all right? I can only imagine if I was pushing more power through it with the controller, it'd probably overheat even faster, okay? But yeah, it could definitely handle more punishment than the BAC 4000 ever did. Okay, it seems to handle water fine. Okay, I had problems with water making the throttle, like the controller would get wet and then the throttle would stay open or something. When you give it a little crack of the throttle, it would just take off and start riding on its own. All right, that was scary. I did a Virginia City Grand Prix in the rain, and it got all wet, and it didn't want to stop, okay? I had to use the regen throttle to slow it down, okay? And funny I should mention the regen throttle. That is the reason why I'm ditching the KO Factory Spec controller, guys, all right? That's the main reason. Other than that, fantastic controller. I like it. I like it. It wasn't very good in the beginning, but it progressively got better, right? They kept on releasing updates until it was decent, all right? Is what I'm gonna say. But my biggest gripe is the regen, all right? But yeah, it's got good power. It takes off right away. It's cut out on me a number of times on the starting line, all right? And hopefully those updates fixed it. I do notice that the bike will not start if you're moving. All right, that's one of the drawbacks. You have to have the bike stopped to go again. All right, my BAC controller didn't need to do that. All right, you could turn it off and turn it back on. The stock controller, you could turn it off and turn it back on while you're coasting. Okay, this controller wants to be not moving at all. All right, to start. And I found that out the hard way during the Donner Hare Scramble. All right, yeah, the start was on a downhill, all right, a steep downhill, might I add, all right, and I Hayes Mega tried to do, you know, the proper thing. You know, when the gun goes off, you got to start your bike, right? Well, I'm riding an electric bike. How would they know I'm started? The bike is started anyways. Well, I did what I did in other hare scramble races. When the gun goes off, I just turn the ignition on and I go. Well, we were on a downhill and the gun goes off, and then I start rolling down and I turn it on. I guess I wasn't fast enough turning it on or something, and the bike did not want to start. I rolled all the way down to the hill. And then I'm turning it off, turning it on. Or I think I must have been rocking the bike back and forth too, or something. Or maybe I was still rolling and stuff. Because remember, it won't start when it's moving. All right, guys. So finally when I stopped, the bike started and it ran fine the rest of the race. Okay, so yeah, lessons learned. Just leave the bike on the starts, Hades Omega. Don't turn it off. No, none of this Le Mans start racing, guys. That type of thing. All right. It's an electric bike. How will they know it's on, you know? Except, yeah, they'll probably see the lights on the bike. Anyway, yeah, so I've had problems with the starting on the bike a bunch of times, and it's cost me a bunch of races, all right? The start and the first corner of the race is the most dangerous and the most important part of the race, all right? You got to try to get in front of people at the beginning of the race, because it's extremely difficult to pass people if, you know, you're behind them. That's what I say, all right? It's easier if you're in the front, all right? It's easier to win if you're in the front. It's common sense, right? but yeah, that's a scoop. Yeah, I've been let down by it several times, all right? And it's gotten better with the updates, is what I want to say.
Oh, what the hell? Oh, shit. Yeah. I lost. How embarrassing. I won! Alright, here we go. Okay, here we go. Go! Oh, the bike didn't go! Damn it! Ah, shit. Oh, there goes Doug. Oh. It's not running. There we go.
Alright, it did what the Electro & Co controller couldn't do. It completed the Coyote Creek Sprint Enduro. Alright, that's a pretty grueling race on an electric bike. Alright, and I pushed it hard, and it still, you know, still delivered. Alright. And I race at Supermoto, and it still delivers. All right, it's got me on the podium many times. So, it's a good controller. I'm gonna be sad to see you go. All right, I'm probably gonna let it I'm probably going to hang on to it for a little while, all right? While we're tuning the X-9000, all right? It's the beginning of the 2024 year, and I'm trying to get this bike ready for the 2024 race season. So hopefully we can get this bike up to snuff, all right? I've done a number of upgrades on it, and this is the second to the last one, all right? We still got to buy a new battery, okay? I'm looking to get a third battery, guys. Anyway, so yeah, Hayes-Mega has sung the praises of the KO Moto controller, but it's not all perfect, okay? Hayes-Mega is one of those people that I like regen. I like a lot of regen, all right? And I like regen when, you know, I understand there's times and situations where regen is good, and sometimes in situations it's not, all right? And I had a regen throttle with the BSC 4000 and the BSC 2000, and when I lost it, I realized how dependent I'd become on it and how nice that piece of kit was, all right? Well, guess what? The X-9000 has a regen throttle. I'm so excited to get another regen throttle controller, all right? And yeah, so if KO had fixed their regen problems, then I wouldn't be ditching the controller right now, all right? But it does, all right? And so here's the biggest gripes is, yeah, it doesn't have a regen throttle. If you have a lot of regen programmed, and let's say you roll off, you're hitting a jump, right? You're hitting a motocross jump, and you're trying to get some air, all right? And then you wanna goose it, right? You want to give it a lot of throttle, but maybe you don't want to get too much air, so you let off a little bit, and then the front just dives down, right? That's what happens with the regen, all right? When you brake, it doesn't matter if you use the mechanical brakes or you roll off the throttle, you know, with the engine braking, the front is just going to go like this, okay? But if you had a regen throttle, and so this is what I've noticed, all right? If you had a regen throttle and you just don't, when you don't use the regen throttle, the bike coasts, all right? It works as if it doesn't have a regen, like a bicycle. Like if you were just not the pedal on a bicycle, it's similar to that, right? It just kind of just rolls along, right? Well, with off-throttle regen, it doesn't do that. When you let go of the throttle, it starts regenning, right? And then that's when you get the it goes down like that, right? You don't want that, all right? Yeah, I know. You should really pin it to win it, right? Hayes-Mega. Sometimes I don't want to go jump it really high, you know? That's what I'm gonna say. But okay. But anyway, yeah. There's that. All right. If you had a regen throttle, all you'd have to do, if you didn't want to jump it really hard, you'd goose it before you get on the jump, and then you just let off. All right, and it'll just coast. All right, and the front probably won't go down because you're not engine braking. All right, it's just coasting. All right. So if you want to just kind of roll a jump or just do a little jump, then having a regen throttle helps a lot because it just cancels the regen throttle out, all right? You got no regen at all, all right? You use the regen when you want, all right? When you want. If I want to, so another good thing about regen is you can use it to back the rear end, all right? Or lock the back up so you can slide the bike, all right? Or get oversteer type of thing, all right? You can kind of do it on this, but not really, and it's real finicky, and it has this the biggest glaring problem with the regen on this bike, all right? Yes, it's off-throttle regen, and I'll tell you guys, you can have a bike that has good off-throttle regen, and I could be happy with it, or you can have a bike that can off-throttle regen all the way down to 0 or 1 mile per hour, okay? This controller is not one of it, okay? At about like 12 miles an hour is what I've noticed, it cuts regen off completely, all right? There's no reason for it to do that, all right? Because you know what? My Alta Redshift can regen all the way down to 1 miles an hour, all right? In technical riding, when you're going down hills, all right, most technical riding is under 12 miles an hour, guys, all right? I just don't want to die and fly off the side of a mountain, man, because you're riding in this single track and stuff on the side of the hills and stuff. You don't want to go off the hill, all right? So you want to ride... You want to control your speeds, okay? But you still want to kind of go fast. And the brakes on the Sauron Lightbee suck, okay? For lack of a better word, they suck, all right? The front and the rear brakes, you know, they're not good. They're mountain bike brakes, all right? That's where I see the biggest advantage of having an Ultra B is it uses motorcycle front and rear brakes. All right, I want an Ultra B so bad, guys, but I don't have the money for it, so I'm stuck with this thing. But yeah, so it's just the nature of this bike, man. It's got mountain bike brakes, and they're shitty. They're designed for mountain bikes, not for dirt bikes. Okay. If I had better brakes on the bike, then the regen would be less of a problem, is what I'm gonna say. Okay, maybe I wouldn't even use it at all. So I mean, the regen is like a double-edged sword, guys. It's good. It recharges your battery, you know, and it saves your brake pads from wearing out, you know, and it keeps your brakes from overheating, you know, because you know, you don't have to use the brakes as much, right? But it also charges your battery, which heats your battery up, right? So your battery's endurance will be less, okay? your battery's gonna overheat faster if you use the regen a lot, all right? Is what I've come to learn, all right? Yeah, so there's that. And so anyway, that's the main reason I'm ditching the KO Factory Spec controller, the regen braking, okay? I'm not happy with it, all right? If they wanted to make it better, they would have an option to lower the minimum regen speed, all right? The BAC 4000 has an option like that, all right, guys? You can set what regen speed you want the regen to shut off, all right? And usually I put it at 0 or 1 mile per hour, okay? The KO controller has it set in there somewhere, and you can't adjust it, all right? I've tried. And you can't adjust that minimum regen speed. It's always set at like around 12 miles an hour. So at like 12 miles an hour, just think about it. I'm at the Supermoto track, all right, and we're going down the straight at Shasta Supermoto, guys. You can hit 60. Oh, you can hit almost 65 miles per hour on this bike, guys. And we're going 65 miles an hour, and we're going into a hairpin turn, all right? Or it's a really tight, you know, U-turn type thing. And we need to, to be fast, you need to slow your bike down fast, okay? The faster you can slow your bike down, the faster you can get back on the throttle, right? It's called late braking, guys. So you're going into the corner, and then you want to start slowing down, all right? So yeah, before you start pitching the bike sideways, you got to brake real hard so you're not going too fast into the corner, right? And you know, overwork your tires, all right? So you let off on the throttle, and you're expecting to get that. I have my regen set pretty high, right? And it slows down a lot. And then you're adding that, you know, the front and the rear brake to help slow you down. And then that regen that you were planning to use, right, to help you slow the bike down, it cuts out at 12 miles an hour unexpectedly, you know, and then so you're stuck having to manage, you know, the physical brakes again, you know, and it's just not good, all right? And also, like, it kind of, sometimes if you're riding around at 12 miles an hour and you let go on the throttle, it goes in and out of regen, like it's herky-jerky and stuff, all right? It's not good. If you upset the bike's balance like that, it's not good, all right, guys? You want the bike to be, controls on the bike to be really smooth, all right? And that's not smooth. That's just herky-jerky, right? You don't want that, all right? You don't want that before you're going around in a corner, all right? Especially at really fast speed. So yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I'm looking forward to getting the regen throttle back. That's the main reason I'm getting rid of it. Okay. So that's just what I wanted to point out before we install this guy. Okay. I like the KO controller. And I like everything about the KO controller except the braking, all right? The braking is shit, all right? I've gotten the throttle to be pretty good, all right? Throttle is very, very important, and, you know, the throttle is okay on it, all right? And the amount of power you can push through it. Another thing I'm disappointed in this is the top speed. The top speed is not very good, guys. I shit you not, I hit 80 miles an hour on my BAC 4000. 80 miles an hour, all right? With a 72-volt battery, 80 miles an hour. On a BAC 2000, no less, all right? I don't see any reason why we couldn't hit 80 miles an hour with this controller. I don't know why. Do we just not have enough voltage or something? If the BSC controller could do it, why can't this one do it? So I think there's something wrong with this performance settings or something. Its performance at top speed isn't like that of a BSC 4000. Okay, I can only imagine like a BSC 8000 then, man. How fast you can go with the BSC 8000. But I have never gotten this control. Okay, I was able to get the top speed a little bit higher by doing a tune on it. Not a tune, a calibration on it, all right, with the fully charged battery, all right? So when you do motor calibration, make sure you fully charge your battery, okay? It helps. That's what we did, all right? I took it out to the track recently, and I was able to hit GPS indicated 62 miles an hour. And so, in my opinion, there should be no reason why this controller couldn't do 100 miles an hour or something, all right? And it's just, I think the controller is just not efficient, all right? It's not efficient enough, right? Because the BSC controller could do it, all right? So the BSC controller can't handle as much power as this, but it's more efficient than this one, right? Is what I want to say. It could go faster with less power, type of thing, all right? Well, this one, it just, you know, you're hitting that 65 miles an hour, and it's not happy, all right? And I think that it could be the battery, you know, maybe the battery's not giving it full power and stuff, but like I said, with the BSC controller, it didn't care. Okay. Yeah, so the KO F-Spec motor is rated for up to 12,000 RPM, right? And I'm only hitting about 8,700 RPM, somewhere around there. We've got an extra 3,000 RPM left to go. I'm pretty freaking sure we can hit 100 miles an hour on this bike. It's just the KO F-Spec controller is holding us back, all right? So there is that. I feel that there's something wrong with like the efficiency on this controller, all right? Hopefully the X-9000 controller can do better than that, all right? Okay, anyway, so that's my whole vlog about why I'm changing from the X, I'm gonna go with the X-9000 over the KO Moto Factory Spec controller, okay? That's the reason why I wanted to go with this one and not that one, all right? It's a fantastic controller. I think if you're a rider that doesn't like to use regen at all, I think this is a good controller for you, okay? Because that's the biggest problem with this controller is the braking. The regen braking is awful, okay, guys? And I think it would have better endurance if you could use the regen whenever you want, you know, type of thing, all right? But you can't. It's just really finicky to control the regen, all right? And I know you can have good off-throttle regen on a motorcycle because I have a motorcycle that has good off-throttle regen, all right? It's an Alta Redshift, all right, guys? And they tune that off-throttle regen so good, I don't really want a regen throttle on that bike, okay? And it has good brakes already anyway, so that's there's a double plus for the Alta Redshift, is what I want to say. Okay, all right, okay. So yeah, that's the first part of my X-9000 install video. Why I wanted to get rid of the KO F-Spec controller and go to the EBMX X-9000. All right, thanks for watching. I hope this video was educational and entertaining. In the next video, I will be installing the EBMX X-9000 controller onto my store online view, right? But first, we've got to uninstall the KO Moto controller, all right? So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I'm gonna install it, all right? And I'll let you guys know how it goes, all right? I'm not, like I said, I'm not gonna do a step-by-step video on how to install the X-9000 because EBMX has an excellent video about how to do it, all right? I will put a link in the description of the video if you guys want to know how to install one of these guys, all right? But I'll go over some stuff that I find along the way when I install it, okay? I'm not looking forward to tuning it, okay? Because it's probably a lot different than the KO Moto one. I have to go learn a whole new thing, man. Okay, thanks for watching. Here's Miguel.